What's going on, everybody? My name is Dave McRae. It is Sunday, July the 28th, 2019. Ordinarily, in this time slot, I am doing two dudes and some bull poo, but Tony is busy doing some photography. Tony is a professional photographer, and every now and then we gotta rearrange our schedules, either because something he's doing or something I'm doing. So, two dudes and some bullshit, episode 32 is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this YouTube channel. And we're talking I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend, two late 90s horror classics, I guess, if you will. So don't forget to tune into that. But I had a bit of time tonight because I am excited to tell you that I have finished assembling my Halloween concept sequel idea video. It is like the picture lock is done. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's just me talking and giving you my ideas of what I would do if I was approached to do a sequel to the 2018 film. Now, this is like almost a year in the making. I think it was last November that I launched a little bit of a concept teaser and said, if you want me to flesh these ideas out, let me know. And a lot of you guys did. So, but I mean, this is not my full-time job. So I've been trying to do that in between being a voice actor and a filmmaker and all that jazz, right? And all the, other things that I'm doing. So I apologize. It's taken me, a long time to do it, but I promise you it will be worth the wait. Now, I'm not sure when I will have it up. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. I don't want to make any promises, but let's just say that's a sign that it's we're very very close to that. Now, I do want to say this though. It's going to be about 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that, of me talking and giving you my ideas. I basically walk you through like the entire idea that I have. And that doesn't mean there aren't certain things that can't be fleshed out a bit more, but it's the basic sort of premise. So be prepared. I mean, grab some popcorn, get some drinks, settle in. You don't have to listen to it all in one chunk. But if you have, try not to comment, listen to the whole thing first and then comment with questions or ideas that maybe I missed or maybe you're not clear on or something like that. Because if you comment too soon, then you might get to a point in the video where I actually answer your question, if you know what I mean. But then again, I guess you could always delete it. It's up to you. But yeah, it's going to be like 2 hours, 20 minutes long. It's fucking intense. I go into detail. This might be the most detailed, intense video I've ever done. And for you Halloween fans, you're probably going to really love it. But fuck, yeah, this was really hard. So anyway, that is coming, and I wanted to jump on here because I have some time before the week begins. It'll be a busy week. I've been doing nothing but Halloween vids the last 7 or 8 videos, but I promise that I will have some other videos coming, including the Two Dudes episode tomorrow night as well. So don't worry, it is coming. But it's fucking intense. I'm telling you, it's intense. Like, I wasn't kidding. Like, the video is like, okay, you want me to do the sequel to the 2018 film. All right. Well, here are my ideas, and here's what I think you should do. So yeah, it's going to be intense. Okay. So, this AMA is just, I just want to have some fun. I want to talk Halloween, not necessarily Halloween 1978. I know Halloween. We're going to talk Halloween again. Now let's talk Halloween. But Halloween has been sort of in the news lately over the last week or so, and other things that have dropped. A lot of people get in touch with me and say, Dave, did you read this? Dave, did you see that? Dave, what about this, that, and the other? And yes, I have seen it, but I'm not going, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, I'm not going to do a video on every little thing that drops, because if I was doing that, then I'd be doing a video like on every little thing that drops. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to sort of pick and choose the meatier stuff. Now, when we were leading up to the release of the 2018 film, I did do a lot of what could be perceived as minor videos on casting and that kind of stuff, because it was exciting. I mean, this was like, 40 years in the making. Jamie Lee Curtis was back, John Carpenter was back, Nick Castle was back, and there was a lot of excitement around that. Now that we're sort of out of the gate, I think I can be a little more conservative with sort of what I choose and where I kind of focus my video. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm not gonna do a video because Jamie Lee Curtis stubbed her toe or something. I mean, come on, let's get serious here. But this is your opportunity to ask me some questions, whatever you want. Whether it's Halloween 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, whatever it is, ask me your questions and I will do my best to give you my insights and thoughts into what I think. So let me pop the old Buddy Holly specs on here and we'll see. Whoa! Oh, there you guys are. Wow, you guys looking good. You guys are looking good. All right, so let's go over to the chat room and see what's going on here. Okay, got a lot of people talking amongst themselves. Aftershock says, "Hey Dave, thanks for recommending Wes Hightower. I've been binging his videos since." Oh yeah, Wes Hightower is great. He's a Halloween purist like me, and like we often say, we don't agree all the time, but we agree probably 90% of the time. But he has a channel, just YouTube Wes Hightower. His avatar is a little original Halloween jack-o'-lantern, and he's got some great videos on his channel. Sometimes he comes at them from a subjective point of view. Sometimes he does his best to come at them from an objective point of view. And if you're a big fan of the Halloween movie, the very first movie, he's got a lot of analytical analysis on his channel. So great shit. So I highly recommend it. Yeah, he's awesome. Super chat from Aaron Keller. Thank you, Aaron. Says, "Hey Dave, did you check out my buddy's rehauls?" Not yet. I did respond to you on Instagram though. I'm on Instagram, by the way, folks. First time I'm on Instagram, and I'm still trying to get, I got all this social media I'm trying to pay attention to now, but I am definitely going to check him out. I did see your Instagram message. By the way, if you message me on Instagram, if you message me on Facebook, thank you so much, but do not take it personally if I don't respond. I kid you not. This is not hyperbole at all. I'm blown away by this, and I think it's flattering and really awesome. I have about 75 messages on Instagram right now, and I've only been on for 5 days or something like that? Maybe a week? Maybe it's been a week. And I get about 30 to 40 messages a day on Facebook. It blows me away. Like, I can't possibly respond to everybody. Sometimes it's just like, "Hey Dave, want to let you know that I love your channel, blah, blah, blah," which is awesome. And then sometimes it's really intense stuff. So I do my best to read everything. Just know I do my best to read everything, but it's nearly impossible to respond to. I'm blown away by it. Like, I'm like, holy shit, like, you guys are awesome. But yes, I did see that, and I'm definitely going to check that out. Let's see here. Guillermo Medina. Hey, Guillermo. Good to see you in the chat. Entertainment Wizard says, "Dave, do you think Tommy and Lindsay should return in Halloween Kills?" Well, these questions are going to be tough to answer because in my Halloween sequel concept idea, which will be up online very soon, there are some returning originals that do make some appearances. So I don't want to give anything away, but I will say this. As long as it makes sense, I don't want to watch I don't want to watch Halloween Kills and see a lot of returning characters, but they don't really have any substance. I mean, sometimes it's nice to be able to see a returning character in a cameo role, but I would leave that for Carpenter. Like, I think it would be awesome if John Carpenter made a cameo in Halloween Kills as like the convenience store clerk. Right? So maybe, somebody, maybe like, I don't know, Laurie or somebody goes into a convenience store in Haddonfield or Allison or Karen or whoever to buy some gum or whatever it is, right? And working the counter is John Carpenter. He's the curmudgeon, old, grumpy clerk that's been there for years or whatever, and it's not a long scene. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue, maybe 1 or 2 lines or, whatever it is. And then they leave the store and the scene is like, I don't know, a minute maybe at most. That's cool because it's Carpenter, and that's kind of awesome. When we're talking about Lindsay Wallace, she's quite a significant iconic character, even though she was a little girl. She's quite the significant iconic character in the original Halloween. I mean, she's like one of the OGs, right? So if you're going to bring back like Tommy and you're going to bring back Lindsay and you're going to bring back, I don't know, Brackett and you're going to bring back whoever, let's give them something to do. I don't want to see Lindsay as the clerk. I don't want to throw her in there just for fan service. She's got to serve the story in some way. So that would be I'm all for bringing back OGs. I am. Just as long as they're not like throwaway scenes where it's like, oh, hey, here's Tommy Doyle. Oh, hey, here's Lindsay Wallace. Hey, here's Sheriff Brackett. None of that. Like, let's have them be part of the story, part of the narrative. So that's kind of how, I'm not against it. I just don't want it to feel like it's kind of a throwaway thing. B Cove says, hey Dave, do you think it's possible to bring back the ghostly element to Michael Myers and Halloween Kills and make it feel organic? Yes, I do. Watch my The Shape video. That's what it's called, folks, by the way. It's called The Shape. So watch my video coming very soon. Let's see here. But that's not a spoiler because months ago I revealed that that's what it was going to be anyway. So just in case some people think that was a spoiler, it's really not. Steve McCoy says, if Carpenter has a scene, it'd be cool to see him get killed by the Shape. Yeah, I'd be down for that. That might be kind of fun. That might be kind of interesting. I don't want it to seem cheesy though. I mean, Carpenter's an older guy, right? He's 70. He's not an actor. It would be very difficult to, I think, even convince John Carpenter to even be in Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends, let alone, hey, John, let's get you to get killed by the Shape. I mean, that might be really hard. Or maybe he'd be all for it. Maybe he'd be like, fuck it, let's do it. I don't know, just get him high one night and maybe he'll do it. But that's in it. I like your thinking. I like that. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any. Okay, no, it was just Aaron. Just trying to make sure I don't miss any super chats. Okay, let's see here. Dan_of_Earth, or just Dan of Earth, says, I think it's sad that the filmmakers are doing the very thing they made Halloween 2018 to fix. Money talks, I guess. Well, yeah, I mean, it's inevitable, as I've said on this channel hundreds of times. It's inevitable that the more sequels you make, you will find yourself right back where you started. And that's because narratives wear thin. The story wears thin, the novelty wears off, and you start to introduce things that seem strange or weird just to justify keeping the character around and going. I've always said that you probably could get a sequel out of the 2018 film, even before the 2018 film was released. I said you probably could get a sequel out of it. But if they believe they're going to get an entire series out of it, like, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, they're fooling themselves. There's just no way. There's no way that by the 5th or 6th movie, it's going to be as fresh and as original and as interesting as the 2018 film was for some people. So I'm not surprised that we are seeing another movie because it was a gigantic box office success. It made huge dollars. I am a little surprised that they are making a third movie because I was having this conversation during a live feed on my Patreon for my patrons. I was saying, yeah, it does. Somebody there said it kind of like, what are they going to do? Like, how are they going to, like, I mean, what is there to, I mean, there's only so much you can do in Haddonfield, like 2 more movies. I can see another movie, 2 more movies. And I kind of thought that maybe in one of these 2 movies, maybe they're going to expand beyond Haddonfield. Maybe they're going to expand beyond there because there's only so, like, I think you can get another movie in Haddonfield, but 2 more movies in Haddonfield? I don't know. Like, it really makes me curious on what they have up their sleeves. And maybe they're going to expand it. I mean, look, we all know that old Charlie Bowles from Russellville, right? Russellville's down the street. presumably not too far away. Maybe Michael is gone and the search, expands beyond the confines of Haddonfield. They open it up. I know for some that might be blasphemous. It's like, oh my God, no, Halloween is Haddonfield. Haddonfield is Halloween. I get that. But if it's done really well, right, and the story's really good, I'd be down for it. I'd be down to checking out old Russellville. Why not, right? Maybe they're going to expand it. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Because I admit, I struggle to see how they're going to fit 2 more movies in Haddonfield that are presumably connected to each other. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they expand it. It'll be interesting. All right, there was a super chat here. Just went by. Okay, Zeno Zuma. Thank you, Zeno Zuma. Much appreciated. Says, is there a bad Halloween sequel you enjoy? That's a great question. I'm going to say that, is there a bad Halloween sequel I enjoy? Well, I enjoy Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And there's a lot of things in there that are just absolutely dreadful. But there's a lot of things in there that they did well, that they did right, that I quite like. So I've often said that although Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers is not a great sequel, and there's a lot of things in there that are, it feels like a late 80s horror movie. And I guess if it's 1988 and this is where we're going and we got to do this, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. This is what horror movies were. So, okay. Wasn't a big fan of George P. Wilbur as the Shape. Didn't love the shoulder pads. But there's enough there that I kind of like. Oh, I like that. I like what they did there. I like Loomis and his dialogue. Oh, I like the fact that I thought that the box they sort of put themselves in. I mean, Halloween 2 was the end, right? It was the end. I mean, Halloween was the end, but they came back with Halloween 2. Michael died. Halloween 2 didn't end on a cliffhanger. There was no cliffhanger at the end of Halloween 2. He died, burned in the fire, and that was it. And there was no cliffhanger at all. Laurie's in the back of the ambulance. It's driving away. And Mr. Sandman, bring me your dream. And the credits roll. And that's it. There's no breathing at the end of the credits. There's no alluding to the fact that he's still alive. That was the end. Because the plan was to go off and do an anthology. So when we look at Halloween 4, because they box themselves sort of in this corner, what are we going to do? Okay, let's say he's burned. And let's say that he was in a coma for 10 years. And let's say, I mean, there's only so much you can do where somebody isn't going to go, all right, well, I guess that'll work. So I kind of just, I accept it. I suspend my disbelief and I go, okay. And for what they had and what they were given with, and of course, writing the script in like 11 days or something ridiculous like that, it wasn't a bad return. And, for what they were given. And then you have that iconic ending, which is just like, holy shit, right? So I think Halloween 4 is a sequel that I can watch probably the most out of all the sequels. It's probably Halloween 4, I would say. But I don't hate Halloween 4. So you asked, is there a sequel, a bad sequel? Maybe The Curse of Michael Myers. The Curse of Michael Myers is a bad sequel. But it's got the fall environment. It's got Dr. Loomis. There's some things there that Michael is utilized way better in Halloween 6 in terms of the character and how you utilize the Shape. He's dreadful in that movie, but he's a hell of a lot better than he was in Halloween 5. So the bar is not very high. So I guess you have to take that into consideration. But those are a couple of examples that hopefully answer your question. Let's see here. Robert Thidoff says, hey, Dave, your shirts and hats always look brand new. How do you keep them looking so good? I think you have said before, too, they need to end the sequels and just appreciate this classic. Well, listen, stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you have 2 options. You either end the story on your note, and you end it in a way that pleases the fans and goes out on a high note, or you keep it going and you end up with a fucking shit show of a series like you have with Halloween, and you're greedy sons of bitches that you just keep going, and you end up with what you end up. You end up with dog shit. I mean, stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's okay to end a story. It's okay to do that, and you give more you give more legitimacy to the characters and to the story. Of course, this is a business and we know why they keep going, but yeah, I'm okay with shit ending. I like it when things end. It gives more value and substance to the movies, and it makes me want to watch the whole story unfold all over again instead of watching the story to a point and then just watching those movies again to a point and just recycling the same sort of two good movies. I want the movie to end. I want the story to end on a high note so I can complete the story when I watch the movies. There's nothing more frustrating than watching the good movies, but knowing you have shitty bad ones that you don't fucking want to watch because they're garbage. Anyway, the first part of your question there was, how do I keep my hats and shirts so clean? Well, I don't wear these shirts out a lot. I usually wear them when I'm doing shows. So they sit in my closet, and I usually only wear them when I do shows. And my hats, I am a hat guy. I actually do have a lot of hair, but I am a hat guy. So I do wear hats a lot, but I don't know. It's probably just the camera. I mean, there are some little marks here and there, but I don't do anything specific to keep them clean. Super chat came in. Thank you very much. Oliver Mercer, much appreciated. Says, hey, Dave, what are your thoughts on Nick Castle returning in Halloween Kills or Ends? As I heard he's coming back, but how much I'm not sure. Plus, what don't you like about the original? Great question. Well, first of all, I haven't done a video on Nick Castle returning because it's not news. It really isn't news. Now, I did a video in about, I think it was November or December of 2018 last year, when it was announced that Nick Castle was returning. You guys probably remember that. And I did a video on that because that was epic news. But nobody from Blumhouse, nobody from the production, nobody from the studios were saying, well, yes, he's returning, but actually this guy named James Jude Courtney is going to be our Michael, and Nick is only returning for a small cameo. Nobody said that. Everybody was covering it, and the studios just let it happen because they knew it was great marketing. They didn't care. They didn't care that everybody thought that Nick Castle, the Shape, was returning and he's going to be in it and he's getting into shape. Do you remember that? Was it an Instagram video or a Twitter video that he posted with himself with the with a mask on the treadmill and all that shit? Like, it was out there in the ether that no, Nick Castle is the Shape. He's coming back. He's Michael Myers. And I was losing my shit. I was like, that's awesome, but is he going to be able to do it? And blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what happened. He's in one shot. He's not even in one scene. He's in one shot, right? Because scenes can be one shots, but scenes can also last for a minute, minute and a half, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, right? And I thought that maybe he was in one scene, like maybe when Laurie goes into the house, we see Nick Castle as the Shape sort of, walk by her down the stairs over here, or, turn his head or something like that. No, it was one shot, and that's okay. That's okay. It's understandable, but it was one shot, and that was a shot, of course, when Laurie looks at him, in the window, and he tilts his head. But then when the glass breaks, when the mirror breaks, it quickly cuts to James Jude Courtney. So when the mirror breaks and you see Michael there like that, that's actually James Jude Courtney, and that was sort of the passing of the torch moment, right? It was Nick Castle and then James Jude Courtney. So that was kind of interesting, from my understanding anyway. So, yeah, look, Nick is not going to be in this movie for very long. I mean, maybe they'll give him what I talked about, a scene where he walks by the camera. Maybe he'll have a moment where he does a little more than tilt his head. But as Nick Castle said, let's not fool ourselves here. Big Jim still has the torch. He is your Michael Myers now. So it's not really news. And I see a lot of online sources, whether it's Collider and I understand why they pick it up. It's views, it's clicks. I get it, but there's nothing there. It really is a non-story. Great, he's coming back as a cameo. That's cool. But that's what he's coming. Now, if he's coming back to play the Shape, that's different. But he's not really. You know it and I know it. Big Jim's coming back. Big Jim will be your Shape 99% of the time. Did I miss a super chat? Want to make sure I didn't? No? Okay, cool. All right. And again, if I don't get to your questions, it's nothing personal, guys, in the slightest. We got 418 people watching right now, which is fucking insane. I think the most views I've ever had on a live stream, I was telling this to Tony, because last week on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, I think we got about 380 or something. We actually the most I've ever had during a live stream was something like 540 or something like that. And it was about maybe May or June of last year when they released the first images of Halloween 2018 with Michael in the closet, right? You know, and all that, like those kind of promotional shots. Well, my buddy Bruce happened to be over at the time that they released them. So I'm like, you want to jump online and do a live feed and just talk about it? So we're like, yeah, let's do it. So we jumped on and we had like 540 people or something like that. I was like, what the fuck? Most of them were probably not subscribed to me. They just were YouTubing shit to find out, you know, hot information. They just happened to see this guy live, and that's probably what happened. But 426 right now. This is my second highest, no doubt. This is fucking awesome. And as you can see, I can talk a lot. But I talk for a living, so that helps. Let's see here. So it's never personal. Okay, let me see here. Somebody got a lot of people in the room that I've never seen before, so this is awesome. Let's see if I can get somebody who is not usually... Here we go. We got... Robert Kelly says, hey, Dave, did you see Wolfman gave you a shout out, wore a hat for you? Yes, I saw that. Yeah, we follow each other on Twitter. He's like, hey, folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. He did a good job. He did it better than me. Let's see here. Garada K7 says, if Michael ends up talking and kills or ends, they better have him ask Laurie for a spare. He better not talk. There is absolutely no way that Michael he better not talk. No way, man. No way. Nope. Ain't happening. I don't want it to happen. Let's see here. Super Chad, thank you very much. JW Films 21 says, what is it about Michael Myers that fascinates you so much, or the Halloween franchise in general? Well, I think I can help to intellectualize and verbalize, and I only speak for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of people that may ponder that exact thing. I think what makes the character of Michael Myers so fascinating, and a lot of people might not like to think about this and go down this road, especially those who love Michael being a part of so many sequels and on and on and on. But at the end of the day, I think what makes Michael such a fascinating character over, say, Freddy or Jason, one reason is because Michael is in the pop culture right now, and he's been quite successful in the pop culture, and Jason and Freddy really haven't been relevant in 25 years. So that's one thing that you cannot ignore. But the other thing is the anonymity and the ambiguity of the character of Michael Myers, not knowing what he's really all about. I mean, we know why Freddy is doing what he's doing. We know who Freddy Krueger is. We know his backstory. We know his motive. We know in large part Jason's backstory, his motive, and why he's doing what he's doing. I mean, you could argue and say, okay, haven't you done enough already? But I mean, we know a lot about these characters. We know next to nothing, really, about what drives the character of Michael Myers. And certainly when you point to the original film. And for the most part, that ambiguity was carried over in subsequent sequels, even though they gave him a motive in Halloween 2. They tried to preserve the integrity of that ambiguity, and for the most part they did, but I think that is what really, at the end of the day, is the crux of why so many people find the character of Michael Myers so fascinating. It's the mystique. It's the lure of you know, what is it about this character, right? You know what I mean? Because yeah, there's almost it's that balance. Freddy Krueger is literally supernatural. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We know it. We know it. He attacks you in your dreams. We know it. Jason, literally supernatural. Michael, now, although in the later sequels, they definitely painted him in that supernatural, literal sense light, there's always been, especially where the foundation of the character comes from that, well, he's a person, but there's something but he's, you know, and we all love those mysteries. It's human nature to try and figure it out. Jason's been figured out. He's been figured out. Freddy's been figured out. We just enjoy the ride of him killing people. Michael, we seem to be in this perpetual state of trying to we're in this perpetual state of trying to figure out the impossible. And that's what drives us and makes the character so fascinating. So hopefully I've answered your question. I think at the end of the day, I think that's sort of the crux of why people are drawn to the character, even though they may not consciously be aware of that. And same with Halloween, really, at the end of the day. Great question. Let's see here. Another super chat came in from Chris Baber. Thank you, Chris. Chris rocks. Chris, you rock, man. Talked to Brian yesterday, and he hasn't been contacted about playing Tommy. Okay, cool. Well, here's the thing. In regards to the Tommy Doyle shit, okay? Paul Rudd, no, don't get Paul Rudd to be Tommy Doyle. Now, first of all, I don't know if, I understand that there were rumors that they were thinking about getting the character of Tommy Doyle back. Okay, I support that. Okay, I do. When you watch my concept video, you'll know why. I do support it. But the whole sort of they've approached Paul Rudd, I suspect that maybe that's in jest. Maybe that's just a joke because we know how much Paul Rudd loathes the fact that he really started his film career in Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And really, I just think Paul Rudd should just shut the fuck up about it and just own it. Like, dude, like, who cares? I mean, there are a lot of actors that start off in shitty movies and in horror movies. So, I mean, just who cares? Just own it. You know, it's not, I mean, you've done so much since then that you're not identified with Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, so just own it, you know? So I think that maybe they approached him to play Tommy Doyle, it might have been a little bit of a joke, but even if he had, let's say he had, what the fuck is Blumhouse doing? Why would you approach Paul Rudd? Paul Rudd's Tommy Doyle has nothing to do with the current timeline you're in. Nothing. You don't approach Paul Rudd, you approach Brian Andrews. And listen, I know Brian Andrews is not exactly, looking, he looks a little rough around the edges. He's a 50-year-old guy, now 53, I think, right? He's got long hair, beard, a little overweight. Okay, I get it. But it's 40-something years later. Maybe that's what Brian looks like now. Or at the very least, maybe you ask him, or not Brian, but Tommy, right? And maybe you ask him to cut his hair and shave so he looks a little more respectable. Okay, not a big deal. Now, whether Brian Andrews would want to do it is a whole other thing. But as I was talking on my Patreon live thing the other day, you could get Brian Andrews for next to nothing. You might be able to get him for, I don't know, 110,000, 125,000 maybe. I mean, you could get him for next to nothing, 100%. And now whether he wants to do it, that's a different story. He might be a little green. He hasn't acted a lot in a lot of years. He's pretty much retired. So there might be a little bit of rust around the edges. But that's who you go after. You don't go after fucking Paul Rudd. First of all, you'd have to pay Paul Rudd an arm and a leg to do it. You go after Tommy Doyle, 100%. I know I've seen some memes where some people are like, no, you go after Seth Green because Seth Green looks a bit like the little Tommy Doyle all grown up. And I'm like, yeah, I will give you that. He does. And Seth Green is 45. And how old was Tommy Doyle in the first Halloween? Was he 8? Was he 8 or 9? Something like that? I think he was supposed to be 8 or 9. I think Brian Andrews was older than that. But I think he was supposed to be 8 or 9 or something like that. So you fast forward 40 years. That puts Tommy Doyle at about 48, 49. Seth Green is 45. So he absolutely could play someone who was 48 or 49. It's not a bad idea. Now, you would have to pay much more to Seth Green than you would Brian Andrews. But it's not a bad idea. I would be for Seth Green over Paul Rudd, 100%. But my first instinct would be, no, you go after Brian Andrews. It's cheap, and it's great fan service, and he is Tommy Doyle. But you go after him as long as Tommy Doyle is somehow serving the narrative and the story. He becomes part of the bigger picture, because if he's not, I think it's pointless. I don't want to just see him working at a convenience store and it's a 30-second scene with him going, hey, what's going on? Oh, Tommy Doyle. No, I don't like that shit. It's having him in the movie is fan service anyway, but you bleed it and blend it in so it feels more organic. It feels, it feels like he's supposed to be there rather than just let's throw this in there and throw that in there because it's just dumb. So that's how I feel about that whole thing. And as regards to Danielle Harris, as UDI Production says, no Danielle Harris either, I agree. Listen, Danielle Harris, you're great. You're great. Okay, cool. But this movie it's irrelevant having her in there. And then I see some people saying, well, maybe she can be another Jamie Lloyd. Well, why? Why would you even call her Jamie Lloyd? Because even if she is an alternate universe Jamie Lloyd, she's not the Jamie Lloyd that existed in Halloween 4 and 5. So everything that Jamie Lloyd went through in 4 and 5 and ultimately in 6 to her demise never happened. So it's pointless to call her Jamie Lloyd. Why would you even do that? It's pointless because it's not the same Jamie Lloyd. Yeah, but it's fan service. Yeah, but why? It doesn't serve the story. Just so you could see her as Jamie Lloyd in the movie, but you're not seeing her as Jamie Lloyd in the movie because what you really want is to see her as the Jamie Lloyd in the movie. So if she can't be the Jamie Lloyd in the movie, then what's the point of even having her in the movie anyway? I mean, I would much rather have her as just a passerby, as a clerk at a convenience store or something, or maybe a swinger, as somebody completely different. But then at the end of the day, I think she would be far too distracting because she's so identified with the Jamie Lloyd character that I think it would be far too distracting that maybe she's playing Julie Sinclair, which is a girl I think I went to elementary school with years and years ago. Hey, Julie, if you're watching, how you doing? But, let's say she's playing somebody named Julia. No, it was Julia Sinclair, I think. So anyway, let's say she's playing. Why? It's not just so we can see her on screen. But you see, here's the thing is that Jamie Lee Curtis is actually playing Laurie Strode, right? Danielle Harris wouldn't be playing Jamie Lloyd. So you're not seeing a mother-daughter reunion. You're not I just think it's pointless at the end of the day. Love Danielle Harris, but I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. Maybe for all you Halloween fans that want a direct sequel to Halloween 4, pretend 5 and 6 never happened. Maybe they'll do that for you in a few years and then you'll all be happy and Danielle Harris will come back. Who the hell knows? Let's see, a super chat came in here from Rick Michaels. Thank you, Rick. Much appreciated. Says, do you think Jamie Lee makes up for a Loomis character? I miss Donald Pleasance. You can never replace Donald Pleasance. You just can't. And Halloween 2018 was such an underdeveloped film in terms of characters that really at the end of the day, the only developed character in that movie was Laurie Strode because she has a history. Everybody else in the movie, literally everybody else, apart from Michael, everybody in that movie we had no prior history to knowing who the fuck they were or where they came from. So everybody was really paper thin apart from Laurie. So Laurie felt like a Loomis type of character just because she's, like you hear me say, she's been through shit. She's seen shit. She no longer gives a shit. She knows the shape now better than everybody. So she's like the authority that you would turn to really sort of grasp, onto the levity of what they're dealing with. So for all intents and purposes, I guess she is the Loomis character. And it's unfortunate that they killed Hawkins. Like you've heard me say that I think Hawkins, played by Will Patton, I think Hawkins was a strong enough character that he should have been the sheriff. Get rid of this sarcastic, barker of a character with the cowboy hat. Get rid of him. And make Hawkins the sheriff. No offense to Dorsey, is that his name? The actor that played Barker? No offense to him. He's just doing what he was directed to do. He's a fine actor. But his character's garbage. Give the sheriff, the sheriff role to Hawkins because Hawkins has a history in the town. Hawkins was apparently, first on scene that night, right? The first arresting officer on scene. Okay, cool. Well, show that he's worked his way up and he replaced Brackett eventually, right? Make him the sheriff, a much stronger character that you could have carried over into the next movie. Another character that has some substance that this series desperately needs. So I think she's Loomis-esque. We'll see how they develop her character over Halloween Kills and Ends to really kind of figure out whether or not she actually is Dr. Loomis per se. So it'll be interesting. Okay, let's see here. Chase Menard says, you think Laurie's last words would be, "It's time, Michael," as a tribute to Pleasance? I would be okay with that as long as she doesn't... Happy Halloween, Michael, was at the end of the 2018 film. It wasn't the Happy Halloween, Michael. It was her. It was Laurie suddenly coming out of the closet. It looked almost digitally done. It was just weird to me. It looked awkward. And I think because that followed the Happy Halloween, it made the Happy Halloween moment feel a little cheesy to me. Like during the trailer, obviously, they took that line and they placed it in the timeline when cutting the trailer when she has the gun up to her eye and we don't see her lips. And that's where they put that line, "Happy Halloween, Michael." It worked for me there. It didn't feel cheesy. It felt cheesy where it was at the end of the 2018 film for me. So I would be okay with something like that as long as it's placed in the right spot in the right way, because you don't want it to seem cheesy. You know what I mean? But I would be okay with that because Halloween 2, 1981 in this timeline does not exist. A lot of people have to remember that, right? That massacre that happened in Halloween 2 never happened. It never happened. So we got to remember that. So I'd be okay with that, but it's all in the execution. Okay, some super chats here. Don't want to miss these super chats. Let's see here. Oh, let me go back. Oh, there we are. Okay, Sasha Todorov. I think I'm saying that right. If Halloween Kills and Ends takes place right after 2018, what do you think about the idea that Kills doesn't include any big Michael Myers action, like a build-up for the big final in Ends? Interesting. I like that you're thinking outside the box. Again, it all comes down to execution. Some people think that Kills might pick up where Halloween 2018 left off, and it's all sort of one kind of movie, and then there's a cliffhanger at the end of Kills, which leads into Ends. It's really interesting I wonder how they're going to kind of execute this. I'm really fascinated to know how they're going to do that. No, doesn't include any big Michael Myers action. So there is Michael Myers stuff going on, but you really there's a lot of character development and exposition, and a lot of backstory and kind of build up with some Michael Myers shit going on. I kind of like what it would be a big risk, but the payoff would be Ends. They would really have to deliver the goods in Ends then. They would have to do that because you've dangled that carrot long enough. I like your thinking. I'd have to think about it a bit more and know more detail, sort of the mindset of where everybody is and how that would be executed. But it's an interesting thought. I like how you're thinking outside the box. Cool stuff. Okay, Jason Ballard says, thank you for the super chat, by the way, Jason. Would a flashback from Michael's POV help or hurt? A flashback from Michael's POV? In what sense? What are we flashing back to? Like, what is he flashing back to? You don't have to give me another super chat. Just put an @Dave McRae so it's highlighted so I see it, and just kind of expand on that, and I'll be able to give you my thoughts. I'm not crazy on the shape having any sort of flashback, so just to let you know. Let's see here. Christian Kyle, thank you, Christian, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Says, I've seen a lot of people online discussing how they would like to see how Michael escaped the fire. I think that would be a suspense killer. They should start Kills with Michael being full-on boogeyman. I agree. I think seeing Michael escape the fire is completely unnecessary. I don't think you need to do that. I know that in this day and age, we like to have everything handed to us on a silver platter, but at the end of the day, you don't need to see that. You don't need to see how he escapes. Remember, they can still find a body in the rubble of that fire because Ray presumably died in the house, because when Laurie opens the closet door, that felt shoehorned in. That felt a little lame to me. It did. It didn't, there was nothing about that where I was like, oh shit, raising the, maybe because I hated the fucking character anyway. I got peanut butter on my penis. I mean, maybe I was just like, okay, good, he's dead. So I didn't really feel anything, but it just felt awkward. We just kind of dangling there in the closet. It just felt weird. But anyway, they can still find a body, but they find the body of Ray and not Myers. And they're like, what the hell? How's this possible? How could he survive? It doesn't make any sense. And there lies the continued, ambiguity of the shape, right? He is a human being. He was a person in that first movie, but there was something not human. What is this? We can't quantify it. We can't measure it. We can't put our finger on it. And that's what keeps the pulse of the shape and the character going, right? And that's what people love about this. So you have to continue. Like, I actually thought, as much as I am a huge proponent of the original intent of Michael Myers from that very first Halloween film, even I thought they humanized him too much in the 2018 film. Seeing him in broad daylight, seeing him in chains, walking onto the bus, and all that kind of shit. Seeing him in daylight in the bathroom, and all that. I did, seeing him in daylight, putting the mask on. They humanized him for me just a little too much. And I think they need to split the difference and have a happy medium somewhere. And here's a prime example of it. We don't need to see how he survived the fire and got out. He just did. So I agree with that. Super chat here from, wait a second here. Bob McFuckercakes. Thank you, Bob. One of my patrons says, what do you want to see less of in the new sequels? I say cut the awkward humor completely. 100%. Oh yeah, cut the humor completely out. You don't need humor at all. And if you're going to have humor in the subsequent sequels, have it as situational humor that is fleeting, right? Like when Bud in Halloween 2, even though Halloween 2 doesn't exist anymore, have, that amazing grace, come sit on my face, blah, 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 I need your pie. Like that kind of, it's funny, but it serves the character in the moment. And then you have another character kind of bring him back to, reality. Is like, yeah, dude, like, fuck off with that shit. Like, this is serious here, right? That's okay because you have the balance of the other character bringing the humor back to reality. It's like, dude, like, fuck off with that shit. Like, this is serious. So that's why that worked. And you can do those things on a minor scale, but when you have, what's his face? The little boy, Julian, right? When Michael comes out of the closet, and Julian goes, oh shit, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? I want to see Julian go, oh my God, and he's in the corner and he's scared and he doesn't know what to do, and you see tears running down the. That's what I want to see, right? You don't have a humorous. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. I agree with you. No humor whatsoever. If there is humor, it's situational and fleeting humor with a person that brings the situation back to reality, right? And who's to say that Bud really isn't scared through his fucking teeth, but he's dealing with the reality with a bit of humor, and but you need that balance. So definitely that, and also don't humanize the shape so much. Find that balance for sure. And that all comes to knowing how to utilize the character in terms of light and shadow and all that kind of stuff. So that's cool. Let's see. I want to scroll back and see did you at Dave McRae? Wayne Downey super chat says they could say Dr. Sartain was too incompetent, to actually kill Hawkins and bring him back. Maybe. I mean, he did jab that right into, it looked like his jugular, so I don't know. Sure, I would be open to discussing that, for sure. Let's see here. I'm so sorry. There was a super chat. Jason Baller. Okay, and I want to see, did you respond with an at, Jason? Did you respond with an at? That was James. Da-la-da. Let's see here. I don't see you, James. No, it's Jake V. James, did you? I'm looking for you, James. I don't want to not miss that. I don't think you did yet. Oh, there you are, James Ballard. Cool. What I meant was, does Michael constantly think of how it all started or what triggered him to be how he is or what drives him? No, not at all. There is no conscience, no reason for that is the presumption. Like, that is the assumption, right? That is the professional analytical analysis of Dr. Loomis, who was a professional psychiatrist and trained professional, having spent 8 years trying to reach him and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up. So that doesn't mean that Dr. Loomis is right and that there maybe isn't somewhere in him some sort of level of cognitive reason. It may exist, but there's no evidence of it whatsoever. And because what I realized was, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. Right? So to then break that and show that he does possess a soul, and even though he probably does, he's human, right? But it's like looking at Charles Manson, like listening to Charles Manson speak. He's a human. He just died last year, but there's something weird about him. He's got this supernatural vibe about him. I mean, it's not the perfect example, obviously, because obviously Manson speaks and it's a whole different ballgame, but it's that sort of thing, right? There's something off. And so then to actually, creatively show the audience a conscience or a reason or any thoughts that Michael may have would demystify the mystique of the shape, and you never want to do that ever. It's one of the reasons why the end of Halloween 5 with, "Uncle, can I see?" And he takes off his mask and the tear. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? Get that garbage out of here. So yeah. So let's see here. Okay, a couple of super chats. Don't want to miss them here. Okay. Actually, let me answer some that aren't super chats. Let's see here. I'll see a little bit of a rapid fire. Dr. Loomis says, by the way, seeing Michael being burnt and have 3 fingers on one hand trying to kill people will be funny. Maybe. You never know. All in the execution. Joe E says, do you think John Carpenter realizes that H-18 isn't a true narrative continuation of his movie? I feel like he obviously knows his story and should know that H-18 is not that. Well, I mean, Joe, I get what you're saying, but, it is a continuation. I mean, it does. The events in Halloween 1978 are referenced. It is a sequel. But the original Halloween is its own self-contained film. That's why we can talk about Halloween on its own merits as a one standoff film, and all of the symbolism and the philosophical sort of, subtleties of the layers and all that shit that we can see in that movie. But you can also talk about it as it's connected to other films, but it's much harder to do because everything that was created in that movie was not created to drive a sequel. Like I said, Michael wasn't gone when Dr. Loomis looked over the balcony to set up a sequel. He was gone to solidify the message of the movie that you can't kill the boogeyman. And that was the end of the film. He's just gone into the ether. Luckily, you can also use an ending like that to drive a sequel, which is what Carpenter did. So when it gets harder and harder to talk about the original film and make things connect with sequels the further you go along, because you can point to things and you can guess and make up shit in your own mind, but it was never created for that. So it is connected, but you can talk about it on its own merits. But I get what you're saying. Steve Lee says, I would have started the movie when the nurse unzipped the body bag and he grabs her by the throat and the film cuts. I would not have done that, Steve, because that's just so end of Halloween Resurrection. It's a little too cliche to me. A little too cliche. Hey, but if you like it, that's all that matters. I cannot take the things that you love away from you. 454 people watching right now. Fuck, you guys are amazing. You guys rock. I'm telling you. Fucking amazing. Let's see here. Okay, super chat. Adam, thank you, Adam, says, Michael taken to the hospital after being barbecued and Laurie becomes the hunter in the hospital. How do you think this plays out? Well, I think that's a little it's similar to Halloween 2 because of the hospital setting, but reversing the rules. You know what I need? I need a shit show shot glass right here, ladies and germs. This is only water, but I'm going to have a shot glass of shit show. That doesn't mean your idea. Oh, I should start doing that. Whenever anybody says an idea that I think is a shit show, I should start doing that. Of course, if I did it with real alcohol, I might be seriously drunk. That's not why I'm doing this, though. Happy Sunday, you sons of bitches. I like the idea. I'd explore that. If we were sitting in the writer's room, Adam, and you brought that up, I'd say, okay, tell me more. Tell me more. Let's see if we can flesh this out a little bit. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Interesting. Super chat from Ethan LeBlanc. Ethan LeBlanc, my goodness, Ethan. Thank you very much for the generous super chat. And like always, everything that is created from, or that is obtained from the super chats, whether it's on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, everything that is garnered, gained from that goes right back into that show, and everything that is gained from these live feeds, of course, go right back into the channel. So that is a very gracious and very generous super chat, Ethan. Very much appreciated. You're awesome. Let's see here. Hey, Dave, you are the man. Always, I'm the man? You mean out of all the mans, I'm the fucking man? I don't know, man. There's a lot of mans out there. Always look forward to your vids. You always bring great perspective and always keep me thinking. Anytime I need to explain Halloween stuff or horror stuff in general to a friend, I bring them to your channel. Keep doing your thing. Well, thank you so much. Listen, it really is. I really appreciate when people reach out to me like that and say that, you know, they appreciate my insight or the perspectives that I bring. And always remember that, you know, I'm a theatrical guy, right? I'm an actor. I'm a performer. So, you know, I get into what I'm talking about and heated and start saying all the stuff and all that kind of jazz. But if you love the movies that I don't, that's okay. I can never take that away from you, right? And never come to my channels. It's very important that people don't come to my channels to get me to tell you what you think. You've got to think what you think, and then you come to me to hear maybe a different perspective. And if we happen to agree, that is awesome. But if we don't agree, that's okay too. You know what I mean? And if I've been able to give you some insight and let you see Halloween or the character or whatever it is we're talking about, even if it's not Halloween, maybe we're talking Elm Street or Friday the 13th or Hereditary or whatever it is, if I'm able to, you know, make you look at a movie or something a different way that you haven't seen before, and you're like, oh, that's so cool. That is awesome. That means the world to me. Sincerely, I think that's amazing. And obviously this channel wouldn't be anything without you guys, because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to myself. Although I probably could do it for quite some time. I am a voice actor after all. So Ethan, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let's see here. We got some Noah Hanny says, at Dave McRae, should Myers' mask be burned on his face? Well, in my sequel concept video, I have the mask. It has taken some heat, but I don't want to change the look of the mask. Because if the mask is burned to the point where it's just like molded right to his face, then you run the risk of people not really liking the look of this mask. Of course, you also run the risk of people loving the mask. Right now, the people love this new mask for the most part, right? And you also have a shape that for the most part, people love. So it's kind of like, let's go with that. I do think, like I have in my concept, that the mask has suffered some damage. So it's burned a little bit, and maybe it's you add to the decay a bit. But for the most part, it still looks like the same mask. That's what I think they need to do. If it's like all burned and molded to his face, oh, I just don't know what that's going to look like. And that might be really distracting. So we'll see. I don't know. James Gaxiola says, at Dave McRae, do you like the scene between Luke and Leia that happened towards the end of Star Wars The Last Jedi? Hey, Star Wars question. No, because it felt shoehorned in. It didn't feel organic at all. I didn't feel a fucking thing with that reunion. No, didn't like it at all. I could go into reasons what I think they should have done, but that would take a hell of a lot more time. And we're talking Halloween today. But every now and then, if there's something else that's other than Halloween that I could answer quickly, that's okay too. Let's see here. We got some, that's some super chats coming. You guys are fucking awesome, man. Let's see. I thought there was, did I answer? Oh, here we are. Yeah, I love this. The Pancake Lover 2. I hope you love pancakes. He submitted a super chat just for that. I love pancakes. And getting some old good Canadian maple syrup on there? Why the hell not, right? Dwighty Boy 83 says, at Dave McRae, do you think Danielle Harris should be included in these new Halloween films? She seems hurt by not being included, and she did carry the series for a while after Jamie Lee Curtis left. Dwight, earlier in the stream, maybe about, 20 minutes, half an hour ago, go back and watch the stream again. I do talk about that, okay? And I give my thoughts on that. Let's see here. More super chats. Dominic Venturino. Venturino says, hey, new patron of mine, by the way. Dominic, how you doing? Says, Dave, how would you feel about a cameo from an actor from another horror universe, like Robert Englund, for example, just as a nod to the audience and fandom? I like your thinking, buddy. Let's see here. Wow. As a nod. That's a great question. How do I feel about that? I need to shave. I was looking at myself in the camera like, I think it's time to shave. It's time to shave. I think it would be too distracting. I think Robert Englund would be far too distracting. I think placing a previous Michael Myers actor would be maybe cool. Like maybe you get George P. Wilbur as the clerk in the convenience store. Maybe you get George P. Wilbur as a cop, or, I mean, he's actually kind of old for a cop, but, maybe he's one of the residents who lives in the town, right? Maybe he's raking his leaves and he's like, oh, hey, Allison, how you doing? And it's George P. fucking Wilbur. That I would be okay with. But Robert Englund, it might be a little distracting. But great question, though. We could talk about this ad nauseum. Maybe we'll talk about it on Patreon live feed this coming Wednesday. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but just think it might be too distracting. Let's see here. Okay, Sasha Todorov. Again, thank you, Sasha. Much appreciated. CHF. Is that Czech? Czech currency, maybe? I'm not sure. If I'm butchering that, my apologies. We need a new Loomis. Could Loomis had a child or a daughter? His past in her present. The backstory would be easy. Cast Danielle Harris. I would love to see her again. P.S. Can you call Freddie to greet me? Can I call Freddie to greet you? Okay, first of all, yes, definitely. I think introducing a Loomis daughter or son would be interesting, and I would be okay with that if it suits the story. But at the same time, you don't want this daughter or son to act as if they're somehow replacing Loomis. Like somehow we are to look to this new character as the new Loomis. Oh, so because it's Loomis's son or because it's Loomis's daughter, oh, this is who you're telling me is the new Loomis. And it's like, yeah, that might not go over well with the fans. So what is their role? I mean, did they follow in the footsteps? Are they a psychiatrist? Do they know Michael just as well as Loomis did? I mean, they could have gone off to live somewhere else and they could have become a chef somewhere. I mean, they may have no interest in psychiatry and know nothing about Michael Myers. So why are we introducing a son or daughter that Loomis had? Like, who is this character? Or is it just because they're the son and daughter of Dr. Loomis? Okay, but how is it relevant to the story, right? Because not everybody follows in their parents' footsteps, and not everybody knows everything that their parents knew about something going on in their lives. So that would be my first question to you in the writer's room, is that who is this character, right? Why are we introducing this? Number two, Danielle Harris. Yeah, I just don't... I just don't think we need Danielle Harris in this movie. Too distracting at the end of the day. But casting her as Loomis's daughter, sell me on it. Sell me more. If we were in the writer's room, I'd say, okay, who is she? Sell me. Why is this important? Sell me on this. That's what I would say. And can you call Freddie to greet me? You mean Freddie like my Freddie voice? Like Sasha Toradov, you are all my viewers now. There you go. If that's what you mean. I don't know Robert Englund personally, so maybe that's not what you meant. TTO says, thank you for the super chat. TTO says, I lost the super chat. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh no, where is it? Why is Halloween Reboot a hit but not Child's Play? Well, because Halloween had a couple things going for it. Number one, it was the first Halloween movie released in the month of October since Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Think about that. No Halloween movie, not Halloween 6, not Halloween H2O, not Halloween Resurrection, not Rob Zombie's Halloween, not Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. That's 5 Halloween movies after Halloween 5 that were not released in the month of October. And the closest you got to it was Halloween 6, which I believe was released in September. So that's one. You're releasing it in and around Halloween time. Great for marketing. Number two, nostalgia. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis back. You've got Nick Castle back. Even though he didn't do much, he helped put asses in the seats, let me tell you. You got John Carpenter back, even though he had very little creative control on the film, apart from convincing Danny McBride and David Gordon Green to axe the opening of the movie that would recreate the ending of the original, which I totally agree with 100%. But he did the music. He was back, right? He was big in the marketing, right? And Halloween is a much popular, and always has been really, much more popular, much broader reach to the horror masses and a general audience than Child's Play ever was. So that's why. And you got Child's Play, who had no nostalgia attached to it whatsoever, because it was, in the purest sense of the words, a bona fide reboot, a reimagining. And it was released in June. And I understand why they did that. They thought that the counter programming against Toy Story 4 might work in their favor. It didn't really, although I don't really know how much that Child's Play movie would have ended up making even if it had been released a bit later, but I think the smarter choice would have been to release it in October. So that's generally why, in the ballpark, I think. All right, the original Lee says, how do you think they can continue the Halloween movies? Oh, I have a Halloween concept video coming very soon, which will tell you that. Zach Hilleshem? Am I saying that right? Sometimes you got Hilleshem. You know who you are, Zach. Hey, Dave, been a fan for a while, ever since you started YouTube. Really? Wow. I started YouTube in 2006. A lot of people don't know that. I've had this YouTube channel since 2006. But for the first, 12 years, I would just upload, Michael Myers shit, Halloween fan films. And then in 2017, I started putting my face out there for the first time. And now we're closing in on 18,000 subs, which is awesome. Let's see here. Zach says, my question is, would you like to see a Halloween movie with Michael, but not JLC, but a new cast? Would I like to see it? Well, I have seen it. It was called Halloween Resurrection. It was a new cast, did not have Jamie Lee Curtis, and also Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2. But I know what you're talking about. You mean to kill Laurie and continue the story with James Jude Courtney and this, I think is what you're saying. I'm a Halloween fan. I'll always go and watch the movie. Because I'll always be curious, because I love the history of Halloween and the movies and how it's made and all that kind of shit. But I don't think it needs to, because really at the end of the day, I think the crux of the story really is Michael and Laurie. Even though he doesn't have a motive per se, it really is about them. You know, it's like Rocky and Adrian, Michael and Laurie, Freddie and Nancy. I mean, really, that's what it's about, you know? So yeah, I mean, I'd be there to see it, but I think once you start doing that, you're on your way to shitty sequels. Eventually. Okay, let's see here. Okay, answered that super chat. I answered that super chat. That one. Tommy Ricknell. Thank you, Tommy. Much appreciated. I believe that's Swedish currency, right? Comparing H2O and H 2018, just objectively in terms of pacing, storytelling, and a movie in itself. Thoughts? Still enjoy H2O more, despite its Michael on the set of Dawson's Creek. Take care, Dave. Yeah, I enjoyed the 2018 film better than H2O. I don't think H2O, you know me, I had a lot of problems with the 2018 film. But I think I enjoyed it more because there were more things in there that I could glom onto and ride the ride. You had Jamie Lee Curtis, right? You had John Carpenter's score. You had that one moment with Nick Castle. James Jude Courtney was in amazing shape. Even though they shot in South Carolina, they shot in the winter, and therefore, okay, it doesn't really look like autumn, but things are a bit dead, so there's a bit of an autumn vibe there, kind of. There were certain moments of the shape that are... Halloween H2O has none of that. You don't have Carpenter, you don't have, Nick Castle, you don't have the autumn fall environment, it literally looks like a very, Hallmark Channel Halloween movie. The most redeeming quality of that movie is Jamie Lee Curtis. And that's what got me through the film. And I haven't seen the movie in years, but when I do watch it, I can glom on to her carrying me through the movie. But there's nothing, it's very late 90s, soap opera-y. It doesn't feel like a Halloween movie to me at all. A lot of people love it because of nostalgia, because it was the first Halloween movie that they watched. I mean, I remember when it came out, I was 19 years old, and I was working at a movie theater at the time. And I think I saw it like 2 or 3 times because I could see it for free, right? And for a lot of people, that was their first introduction into Halloween. So there's a lot of nostalgia there as well. But for me, I think I still enjoy the 2018 film because it feels like it doesn't have that vibe that H2O has for me at the end of the day. So thank you, though. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Let's see here. I'm looking for some people. And again, folks, if you're just tuning in, if I don't answer your question, it's not personal. Never is. I have to answer the super chats, obviously. That's self-explanatory. But if I don't get to your other questions, it's never personal. It's just we got 445 people watching me. You guys are fucking amazing. Let's see here. Tecmo Bo 35 or 34. Do you guys remember Tecmo Bowl? I don't know if that's a reference to that. But Tecmo Bowl, the old Nintendo games, you guys remember that? I love Tecmo Bowl. I'd love to play that now. Does the camera show him spinning around in the tornado and then showing him land on Laurie's house? I don't know what you're talking about. You must be talking to somebody else. That's so funny. Let's see here. No, I got a super chat there, but I want to, let's see. Oh, PC Pierce. Yeah, hey, PC, what's going on? Dave, top 3 Halloween franchise kills. Go! Top 3 Halloween franchise kills. Oh my God. PC, you put me on the spot, PC. Let's see here. Top 3 Halloween franchise kills. Well, I love... A lot of them come from Halloween 1 because they're just so... Well, okay, I love Bob's kill in the kitchen. Absolutely. Now, if you ask me this question again tomorrow, I might have 3 different ones. I don't know. But right now, at the top of my head, Bob in the kitchen, the strangulation of Linda. But that Annie car is so good too. Anyway, I'll go with Linda for now. That's number 2 because that's the first time we see the Shape's mask in close proximity. He lifts his head up into frame. It's like, oh, shit. First time. Love that. And then I'm actually going to jump to Halloween 2, 1981. And it's a far inferior film to the first movie, as you've heard me say ad nauseum. But one of the most Halloween 1 things in Halloween 2 is the death of Janet. When she turns the chair around and she sees Dr. Mixter in the chair and it's like, oh my God, and the needle is in his, is in his eye and she's backing up like this. And then you see Dick Warlock's face slowly kind of emerge from the darkness. Oh, I love it. Love that. Love it. So off the top of my head, those would be the 3 kills. But ask me again tomorrow and I'd probably have 3 different ones for you. James Gaxiola, what was your favorite kill in Halloween 2018? Funny enough, my favorite kill in... One of the things that I loved about Halloween, or one of the things that... I'd say loved. One of the things that I did appreciate about the 2018 film was how they utilized the kills in that movie. That, a lot of deaths were off screen. And there was actually not a lot of gratuitous violence, blood splurting everywhere. what I really like about it is that even with the deaths off screen, when Laurie or the filmmakers, or not the filmmaker, yeah, I guess they were filmmakers or investigative journalists or whatever, they would come across the certain bodies, the end result of those kills were frightening. Genuinely frightening. Seeing, like, you know, bodies up against the wall and heads cracked and necks all the way around. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term the uncanny valley, which generally applies to artificial intelligence and things that look human but something's not right and all that kind of shit. It's uncomfortable to look at. Like, what the fuck are we dealing with here? That is the end result of whatever the fuck happened here. Like, what kind of power are we dealing with? You walk into a crime scene and you see that. Like, do you remember that neck that was like back, like way back when, I think it was the boy, was it the boy that came across the cops at the end? Or maybe it was Hawkins that came across the dead body or whatever it was. But do you remember that neck that was like, it's like, what the fuck are we dealing with here? It's like, it's eerie to me. So, I don't know what my favorite kills would be from Halloween 2018. I will just say that I appreciate that creative decision to do that, because it's really eerie to see, oh my God, like, holy shit. Wow. I love that. I'll just say that. Let's see here. Bob McFucker Cakes. Thank you for the super chat, Bob. Oh, where'd you go? Where'd you go, Bob? Where'd you go? Where's Bob? Oh, did I? Wow, we got a lot of super chats came in. God, you guys are amazing. Dave, it's been in the news recently that there's a petition in the States that has received almost 100,000 signatures. Yeah, I've seen it. To permanently change Halloween to the last Saturday in October. Thoughts? Yes. Everybody who signed the petition, get a life. These are the same people that don't let their children play in the dirt. It's still a deal with it, man. So Halloween's on a Tuesday. Come on, deal with it. My God, who cares? That's what I have to say about that. Super chat from Mr. C's for Eyes. Thank you, Mr. C's. Hey, Dave, so I've been wanting to ask you this for a long time. Do you like the Halloween 6 mask? P.S. Keep up the great work. It's all relative at the end of the day. I think the worst Michael Myers mask, and I don't include the CGI mask in H2O, because that's not a mask. It's not an organic mask. It was, and I still to this day don't understand why they decided to do that. Why they didn't just decide to use the kid's reaction. And we just see maybe, you know, how we kind of see Michael in his eyes or something like that. Just use that. Why do we need to see, if I was the producer, and I was in the editing room or whatever, and I was showing, I'd be like, get that fucking garbage out of there. And I know CGI wasn't nearly as advanced in 1998, and maybe in 98 it looked okay, but I remember even in the theater going, what the fuck is that? Like, it looks dreadful. I don't understand why they didn't just axe that angle out and just use another shot. Don't understand that. So I never point to that as the worst mask. We're talking about physical masks that are on the face. The worst mask to me is Halloween 5, hands down, 100%. Halloween 4 actually has grown on me. It's not a good mask. It's not. But it's grown on me over the years. There's something about it that I'm like, you know what? It's fucking creepy. Halloween 5, I hate Halloween 5's mask. The Halloween 6 mask I like better than 5. I don't know, but it's okay. It's okay. Once you settle in that it's just, you can't get Shatner's look, whatever. It's okay. But I actually, although I loathe the movie, I actually prefer Halloween Resurrection's mask. I think the mask in Resurrection, although I think the movie is dog shit, is actually, you paint the eyebrows white and maybe make some minor adjustments, and it's not bad. It's the most Shatner-looking mask we've had since Halloween 2. So, I tend to sort of fall into that camp. So that's how I kind of feel about that. Christian Kyle says, in what mental state, thank you for the super chat, in what mental state do you want to see Laurie in? Maybe she's scared shitless because she thinks Michael can't be killed and starts calling him it instead of him. Well, there is no doubt that Laurie should have called him it instead of him from the very beginning. Because we know when Dr. Loomis, starts talking and Marion says, don't you think we can refer to it as him if you say so? Yes. So in the 2018 film, that was a missed opportunity. That's a minor missed opportunity, but that's a very small example of the missed opportunities that were throughout that movie. To have Laurie say that it's been waiting for me, I've been waiting for it. So there's no doubt in my mind that yes, to utilize that 100%. Yeah, that she definitely should be in. I don't know if she should be a basket case, but it all depends on where the narrative goes and how and if you're looking to pass the torch to Allison or Karen, if at all. Because Allison and Karen are one-dimensional cookie-cutter characters that you could axe and not even have in this movie, and I wouldn't. Now, it would be weird not to have them in the movie because of how you set them up, but I certainly wouldn't miss their characters. So I don't know. It's an interesting. There definitely has to be some ramifications. There has to be, at least for a little bit. Yeah. It's a great question. Let's see here. NBA Bully says, hey, Dave, what do you think of the new trailer 3 from Hell? I saw it. I'm just not into Rob Zombie's movies. I liked The Devil's Rejects. And I liked The House of a Thousand Corpses for what it is. You could sit and it kills an afternoon, but I'm just not a fan of his movies. They're all the same fucking thing. And I just, whatever. I won't catch it in the theater at all. Let's see here. Super chat from Sasha Tordov again says, do you know something about Michael's parents? No. I think in Halloween 2, I think they were... Well, in Halloween 1, I don't think it's ever... In the theatrical cut of Halloween 1, I don't think his parents are ever alluded to whatever happened to them. In the TV cut of Halloween 1, which isn't officially canon, I think it may somewhere have been alluded to that his parents were killed in a car accident or killed. But I think definitely in Halloween 2, 1981, I think if it's not the TV cut of Halloween, then it's it's Halloween 2 that his parents were killed. That's really it. But in the original Halloween, I don't even think it's ever alluded to. Okay, we'll go to 9:30. We're going to go to 9:30 tonight because I got to get off here very soon. So Grave Warmer Super Chat says, what's one surprise you think we'll see in Halloween Kills? The introduction of a familiar face, whether that's Lindsay Wallace, whether that's Tommy Doyle, whether that's Lee Brackett, although Charles Cyphers is long retired. But money talks. I think that will be potentially one of the biggest surprises. But we may know it's coming because, we know that this individual has been cast. But I hope it's the original actor. Get Kyle Richards, get Brian Andrews, get Charles, Cyphers, and that's who I want to see. I don't want to see somebody playing at the end of the day, unless you cast somebody who looks really identical and I can get lost in the character. But nobody thought Paul Rudd, oh yeah, he totally looks like he could be that Tommy Doyle 20 years later or whatever. Like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't look like that at all. Let's see here. Real tours. Would you like to see Michael Myers in a big city setting in a Jason Manhattan vibe? But good. P.S. If you could get Michael to take down any celebrity, who would it be? First of all, no, to the first part of your question, not at all. I don't want to see Michael in like New York or Toronto or Chicago or something like that. Not at all. If I could see him take down a big celebrity, who do I think it would be? I don't know. Somebody earlier said, how fun would it be to see Michael take down John Carpenter? I think that would be fun. Convincing John Carpenter to do that? I don't know. But I think it would be fun. Let's see here. Scrolling. Got another super chat there. Oh, what is this? Hainsberg254. Hainsberg254. Thank you for the super chat. Can the Shape ever be saved from his inner evil? No, he cannot. The Shape can die. I believe the Shape can die. Michael Myers as we know it. But he can never, the evil can never, like that's, I believe, once you continued the story beyond Halloween, that's what Dr. Loomis was saying in the original has to mean. The boogeyman, the evil that exists within Michael Myers, whatever evil that is, cannot be destroyed. You can take Loomis more literally when you just watch Halloween on its own, because you can look, because it's just a one movie, it's a one-off, and you can take it literally. But when you try to paint what Loomis said in that first movie against the rest of the sequels, which it was never supposed to be, you have to take it a little more philosophical. And then you start to see that, no, it's the evil that exists within inside him that cannot be destroyed. Sweet Tea super chat just to support the channel. Thank you, Sweet Tea. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Sinclair Powell. Thank you for the super chat. Sinclair says Doyle could have actually become a patient of Smith's Grove himself. Maybe he developed an insane obsession with Boogeyman on Earth. Then somehow was on the bus with Michael escaping as well. I like your way of thinking. I like the first part of that. Not so sure I agree with the second part of that, but like that sort of was, it's kind of like what he was in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, right? That's what sort of Paul Rudd was. He wasn't in an insane, he wasn't in an insane asylum, but he was obsessed with the boogeyman. He was that awkward, weird adult that is creepy. And the events from 1978 defined who he was in 6. So we have seen that play out, but to see it in this context with Brian Andrews might be interesting. I would be down for that. Expanding on that a bit. It's interesting. I like the way you guys are thinking. Let's see here. But Joe E says, Dave, do you think Halloween Kills and Ends could redeem this new Halloween trilogy? Well, for all intents and purposes, it will be its own thing as a trilogy, but it will always be forever connected to that first movie. But you absolutely can watch the 2018 film and not watch Halloween 1978. It is designed in a way that you can jump right in and just understand that this lady has a backstory that we just didn't see. There's lots of movies that have characters that have backstories that we just never see, right? So it will act as its own trilogy. Do I think it could bring a bit of credibility to what otherwise, up until last year's movie, was a fucking shit show of a series? Yes, I think it's possible. That doesn't mean that I'm going to like the direction overall and where they went in, but I think it could add some bandages and a little bit of credibility to otherwise a fleeting dog shit show of a series. I think it's possible. But do I think that I'm going to see two movies that I would have done if I was in charge? No. But I'm hoping that I will be able to see more redeeming qualities in line with what I think they should do with The Shape and how a Halloween film should be executed, where I can tip my hat and go, okay, all right, okay. You know, like I because they have to honor the film that came before it. They can't just change course completely and do a 180. They can't Rian Johnson that shit, right? So yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy that they're in, but I think it's possible that it could save the series somehow. I think it's possible, but we'll see. Okay, let's see here. Chris Baber, shit show, gold tonight. Yes, you got it, Chris. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. You're awesome. Let's see here. A couple of rapid fires. David Johnson says, Dave, what was the best part of your day today? The best part of my day today, I went and got my car washed. That's what I did. I went and got my car washed. I went out and got my car washed. So that was the best part of my day today. It's Sunday. Not much going on Sundays. Let's see here. Matthew Moody says, hey, Dave. When are we going to get another hate mail? Keep doing your thing. Cheers. When I get some that are worthy of reading. Funny enough, since doing my hate mail videos, I haven't received as much hate mail. I thought the floodgates were going to open from people pretending to send me hate mail, just wanting me to get to read their shit on air, so to speak. But funny enough, I'm not getting nearly as much. So, but I will eventually do it again. Super chat BT115 says, hi, Dave. Have you seen the Trick or Treat Studios Freddy glove? I have, and it's being made by the same guys. Like, they're outsourcing it to the guys that make legit Freddy gloves. So if you want to order a Freddy glove from Trick or Treat Studios, it's probably going to be top-notch quality. Like, I mean, legit shit. Because I think the guys that are making it are like the legit guys that are doing it. So, really interesting. Okay, super chat. Nick says, Dave, you got a jump scare you felt embarrassed by. I'm sure there have been, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But I'm sure there have been. PA8620, just a 99-cent super chat. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. Okay, I think that's it for the super chats. I think that's it. Scrolling here, scrolling. Oh, wait. James Wood. Thank you, James. Much appreciated. Says, Dave, been a fan for almost a year now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare Remake. When news starts to drop, if news ever starts to drop on a Friday the 13th reboot or remake, I'll start doing some videos on this channel, and same with Elm Street. Absolutely. You're talking about the Friday the 13th Elm Street remake from 2009 and 10? I wasn't a huge fan of the Friday the 13th remake, and I wasn't a huge fan of the Elm Street remake. Yeah, it would take too much time to go into depth here, but I think Tony, Michael, and I on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, we might tackle that in the future sometime soon. So, yeah, that is that, but just know that I wasn't crazy on either. Okay, and I think that is it. I think that's going to do it for me. Yes. Okay, guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for the generous super chats. It is much appreciated. It does not go unnoticed or unappreciated at all. And for those of you that asked questions that I did not get to, again, it's nothing personal, guys. Keep those questions in your head, and maybe on an episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, because you know how we open up, the chat room at the end of the show, and of course as well during live streams in the future. Ask me again and I will do my best to answer them. I just was not expecting to have like 480 people or 460 or whatever it was in the chat room tonight. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys soon. Reminder, tomorrow night, 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel, Tony, Michael, and I, Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, episode 32, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I am now on Instagram. Link is in the description. So, in the meantime and in between time, man, I'm talking a lot tonight. That will do it for me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Alrighty, here we go. Cheers.